Welcome back, everybody. The weather is nice and warm today. We've got both teams here. We're going to have a great playoff match today. I am Wolf. With me is Moonglade. How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling pretty good, Wolf. And man, we got some pretty funky pictures up showing who's casting today. CJ against Jenner. It's going to be a great match for the Silver Challenger match to see who goes into the Grand Finals against SKT on the weekend.
It's absolutely going to be a great match today. You know, this is going to decide who's going to that finals match. And already, you know, it couldn't be worse than yesterday. So we've only got up to go. Yesterday, a really unfortunate situation. If you guys were not here, StarTale-yoe was unable to make it to the match on time due to the sudden snowstorm and a traffic accident. So they weren't able to make it to the match on time, so they lost. And Jenner advanced with a forfeit. And because of this, CJ Entis, the team you see on screen right now, does not get that extra advantage that they normally would have of being able to watch an extra day of this team. Jenner Green Wings playing yesterday. They didn't play yesterday. They didn't show any build orders.
It really couldn't have been better for Jenner. It's like the win that they'd always dream about. Not having to show any matches, not having to show any games whatsoever. They get to go home early and practice the whole night for CJ the next day. So the advantage is a little less there for CJ than that they really wanted. And I feel like looking at this first match, CJ also kind of messed up on their opening player.
Right. It seems to be a snipe pick for SOS. Hush has shown time and time again he's a great player to send out for a PvP. He comes out on mostly Protoss maps. He's got a great Protoss versus Protoss record. And Jin Air sent SOS out yesterday on the same map, Overgrowth, as the first player. So it's a reasonable expectation that he would come out again this time on the first map. They send Hush out here. Ends up being a mistake. Ends up not being, you know, what Jin Air is going for. So this does put them at a bit of a disadvantage right from the start because Hush is not known for playing great Protoss versus Zerg.
No, he really hasn't had a good track record, especially against Rogue. The last time they played, Rogue 2-0'd him in the GSL qualifiers earlier this year. And Rogue has been looking in form in his matchups. He's generally just a great, solid, all-round player in every matchup. Great for starting in this kind of a format. And yeah, I think CJ's really got some catching up to do after this first game, unless Hush can sort of make an upset win.
Right, you know, some of the Korean commentators were actually favoring him slightly here going into this, and maybe there's some information we don't know about this player. But as far as I can tell, he's a PvP sniper. I mean, it looks to be that way. He's got that upwards arrows from his last 5 Pro League games that come from mostly Protoss versus Protoss wins. Rogue has always been a solid all-around Zerg. Basically, in my opinion, always like kind of top 5, top 6 Zergs in Korea ever since he started to do well in Pro League. Our map list today is the same as yesterday. Overgrowth being our repeat map that we have in Game 7. Deadwing being map 6, so bigger map down there towards the end. Map 2, very likely to see a Terran come out here after the first win, so our first pick's likely to be a Terran.
Yeah, I guess it'll depend on which team wins and which player remains, but it definitely would not be a bad choice for a Terran player to come out on Catalina. Definitely the more favored sort of map for that race.
Yeah. So you guys can take a look at some of these records here. The match's story, if you will. To just look at some of these stats here. You can see in round 3, CJ was able to beat Jin Air 4-3 last year. But in round 4, Jin Air was able to beat them 4-2 back in July of last year. So some of their records there. And you can see some of these players, their, you know, win records when it comes to getting multi-kills. Maru actually got 3 kills 3 times. That's a very, very sick track record.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of expected from Maru there. Like, he's been the kind of the ace player for Jenner for a very long time. SOS he used to be that kind of beast. He used to be able to do that sort of thing, but not this round. He just hasn't been able to perform to that level. Still a very threatening player, can do a lot of damage, can definitely take out just about anyone.
Yeah. And notice SOS has gotten multi-kills at least 4 times, so that's quite significant. In fact, you know, he got 3 kills once, and 4 times has been able to get 2 kills. So if he comes out, he's most likely not only just going to win, but get a second point as well. Take that early lead. But as you guys can see, Innovation and Zest currently tied right now in the winners ranking. However, Innovation has a perfect record, so you know, he's definitely looking to be a little bit stronger up there than Zest. Zest just being fielded 11 times. That's actually incredible.
I mean, it really is no match when you look at them. Like, why would they be equal terms when Zest has 5 more losses? Kind of insane.
Well, you can see the ranking points that got us here in the first place to the playoffs. You know, Janair just narrowly 6 points ahead of MVP, and everything else is kind of a 10-point margin between the teams. SK Telecom T1, the favorites of last season, looking to break into this next 2015 season, looking very strong. And we're going to find out whether CJ or Janair is going to face them in the finals after this match.
Yeah, very unfortunate for StarTale-yoe to drop out like that yesterday. But, oh well, we'll move on from that and go to the interviews.
Yes.
마스코트 아유리입니다. 1라운드 플레이오프를 펼칠 CJ와 진혜영 감독님 만나보겠습니다. 안녕하세요.
네, 안녕하세요.
안녕하세요.
네, 안녕하세요.
감독님, 제가 아까 감독님
Just saying
처음
hello.
뵀을 때 뭔가 피부가 좋아지셨다 그랬잖아요.
네.
생각을 해보니까
She said that your skin actually looks better today.
표정도 밝아지시고 분위기가 더 좋아지셨어요.
아, 네, 뭐
It seems like your team atmosphere is happier.
피부와 그거는
got better.
뭐 관리하신 건 아니고요.
Saying I don't know if that has anything to do with my skin.
마음적으로나 육체적으로나 좀 가벼운 마음에 그렇게 보이지 않았을까 생각이 듭니다.
But after we won our recent match,
팀 전체적으로
we felt
컨디션이
better.
굉장히 좋아 보이는데
and we gained a lot more confidence. So maybe that is why my skin looks better.
사실 지네어 팀이 굉장히 강력한 팀이라고 개인적으로 생각을 하고 있습니다.
Janair is a strong team.
정규 시즌에서도 저희가 지네어한테 한번 졌고 또 지난 포스트 시즌에
Well, in the regular season, we had a loss against Janair. And in our last postseason, we lost to Janair as well, that 2-4 I was talking about earlier.
쉽지 않은 경기가 될 것 같지만
Their roster is also very strong. It's not going to be an easy match today.
마음은 항상 4대0으로 오지만 마지막에까지 4대3 승리하는 것까지
Our goal is always to win with a 4-0 score,
아무래도 그 중간이
but we do prepare for that possibility of going to the final set.
진혜영가 생각하는 오늘의 예상 스코어
He's expecting a 4-2 win today.
저희는 한 4대3으로 저희가 이기지 않을까.
He expects a 4-3 win today.
솔직히 마음 같아서
Janair
4대 0이라고.
네. 스코어를 말하라고 그랬는데.
Are you being honest?
준호랑 눈이 마주쳐가지고.
Are you not expecting a 4-0 win?
네, 좀
그러면 준호 선수와 눈이 마주치지 않았다면 예상
않았다면,
I wanted to
네,
say that,
분열이를
but Hero was
의미했어요.
looking at me,
4대0을
so I couldn't say that.
때문에, 4대0을 생각하고 있었는데 준호랑 눈이 마주쳐가지고.
I was
어떻게
thinking-
생각하세요? 4대 0.
I was thinking a 4-0 victory, so, but Hero kept looking at me, so I felt bad about saying that.
그건 좀 말이 안 되고요. 그 승자 전적은 방식에서 저희는 절대 올킬은 저희가 올킬을
In the all-kill format,
당하지는 않을 겁니다.
so we never get all killed in this format.
두분 제가 듣기로는
I don't understand why you would think that we could all kill today, or we'd get all killed today.
사실 상대 감독님의 전략을 조금은 꿰뚫진 않았나 생각을 했거든요. 혹시 도움이 되는 부분이 있었나요? 두 분이 같은 팀 계셨어서?
네. 근데
Since you guys were in the same team in the past, do you feel that you guys know each other very well?
일단 진해 같이 이제
Being in the same team really helped
아무래도
in preparing strategies.
어떤 식으로 큰 틀을 짜는지 대충 알고 있어서
I kind of know how
도움이
he plans for his matches, so
제
they helped me
생각을 좀
prepare for
읽으신 것
today.
같아요. 여유
서로
있게.
꿰뚫은
I
거죠?
think he kind of read my mind
서로
also.
꿰뚫었던 거죠? 서로 마음에 읽었으니까.
아니 사실 그 차지훈 감독이라는 수년 동안 저희가 이제 경기를 같이 하면서 저희가 예전에
So we were on the same team for a long time, he says,
라인업을 짰을 때는
many years.
정말 하루 종일 이야기를
And when we
하는
planned the
시간도
lineup
굉장히
in the same
많았거든요.
team,
그래서
we talked to each other all day long
팀으로
about
만났을 때
the
항상
entries we were going to
걱정하는 게
prepare.
뭐냐면, 분명히 차지훈 감독이 제 마인드를 잘 알아요. 그러니까
그렇겠죠?
So I was a little bit worried. So because we're facing each other now as opponents, and he knows me very well. He knows my tendencies very well.
SK T1의 최현성 감독도 굉장히 서로 생각을 좀 많이 알아서 가끔 라인업을
And also,
좀
The SK Telecom team is very close friends with me as well.
정말요? 오늘 그러면 기대해 보겠습니다. 과연
So whenever we see the lineups, it feels like
있었던
it's exactly as they
감독님들이
expected it.
어떻게
So he says that's kind of a funny thing that that goes on because he knows these people so
플레이오프라서
well.
오늘 현장 분위기도 남다른데요. 과연 오늘의 우승팀은 어떤 팀일지 중계진과 함께 만나보겠습니다. 지금까지 아유리였고요. 중계진 나와주세요.
So,
Yeah.
definitely some really interesting words from those two. You know, really interesting to me that Jin Air's coach says 4-3. Obviously, he said that Hero was looking at him, and that's why he had to say that. But
Yeah.
it looks like that both teams really respect each other very well. And it's kind of funny to me that Coach Park says he feels like he knows the rosters and then still sends Hush out here in the first round. So that makes me wonder even more, is there something more to this than a PvP snipe?
I don't know. I mean, I kind of feel looking at the matchup that it's really the Jin Air coach that got the download in the strategy behind it. And then I think he's definitely got the advantage in the opening. And I think if one team was to 4-0, it would be Jin Air with Rogue. He can do it. He can do it. There is possibility there, but it's kind of unlikely when he's up against the rest of that team when they eventually come out.
Sure. You know, we've seen some crazy all kills in the past. Billoui's all kill comes to mind. You know, Sky High had one of those clean finishes. You wouldn't expect Sky to be the type of player to take a win like that. But we have seen this before. Crazier things have happened, especially than Rogue. You know, Rogue's the type of player you'd look at and you say, it's absolutely possible this guy gets an all kill. He's
It'd be like
really
a normal
good.
thing for him. It can actually happen if everything goes right for him. If he doesn't get cheesed out. Like, the one danger about Rogue is he can get cheesed out, and he's been known to kind of be weak against it. Coming back to like the Myungshik games in Star League, he dropped the series to Myungshik just getting cheesed out. Like he get really tilted from it, and he just didn't play his best. And it can happen to him of all people.
Sure, I feel like Rogue is the type of player who's really good at preparing for a best of series for macro games really, really well. And I think he's okay at preparing for a best of one on a specific map, which he does know his opponent. This is the only map, you know, in this that you know the opponent, where you can just kind of choose that. And I like his chances definitely going into the match against Hush here for game number 1. And here is Hush, player who's great at Protoss versus Protoss. He's played just a few matches this season. He's doesn't have a positive record in Pro League, but most of his wins are in the PvP matchup. And he's not yet played a single match versus Zerg here in Pro League.
Yeah, I kind of question that upward arrow, considering how little he has played and how badly he's done in the other sort of individual leagues. It's kind of, we haven't seen him in Star League, we haven't seen him in GSL. There's a reason why, and it's because he gets knocked out nice and early.
Absolutely.
So I wonder what he's got planned for this. Can he actually go the distance against 4 different players and 4 of them? I think not.
I don't think so. I think that we're definitely going to see some, you know, maybe cheesy, a little bit aggressive play out of him on Overgrowth here. Here's Rogue, 4-2 this season. He's got a positive record versus Protoss at 2-1. And, you know, this guy is one of the top players in the world right now as a Zerg. He's really, really solid. Definitely by far the favorite going into map number 1. No one would question that.
Yeah, he's always been a Zerg that's consistent and definitely one of the top. I wouldn't say he's like groundbreaking like we see Dark is these days or Life, for instance, but he's up there. He's hovering around top 5, no doubt about that. And he has potential to beat anyone.
It really does. Well, things looking great for Jin Air for the start here. We'll see what Hush has up his sleeve. He's got a smile on his face, but he's going to take more than that to defeat Rogue on Overgrowth. Let's get started right now. Oh, before we get started, let's take a look at our predictions. Foreigners say Rogue, Koreans say Hush.
I wonder what the Korean casters are thinking when they go for this. Maybe they have that secret information that you might be thinking of, Wolf. Maybe they know something we don't, but we haven't seen Hush in a long time in Pro League, so I just don't feel it. I don't feel it at all.
I'm not feeling it either, man, but let's find out what Hush has up his sleeve here going into game number 1 on Overgrowth. There's Hush, spawning the bottom left in red.
Up here in the top right, it is Rogue for Jin Air. The favorite player in this matchup, I would have to say.
I think most would agree, Moonglade. Supporting Pro League from Australia.
Oh, Aussie, Aussie, Aussie!
That's where you're from, Moonglade.
They don't have headsets. They can't oil me back. What's going on?
You'd have to shout a bit louder, I suppose, for them to get you.
I'll have to go outside next time. Scream from the booth top.
Well, this map is a 2-player map with a moderately short rush distance. We do see a pylon in the main here for Hush, so he's starting things off that way.
Yep, could still possibly be a Nexus first. I mean, he can still play this very greedy, but clearly not going to be a Forge anytime soon.
No.
So Rogue can go for that extra greedy build, go for that double hatch before pool, if he so dares.
Sure, and he does have 3 extra probes queued up. Hush does. So with that, it's looking more likely we will see a Nexus first. Only time will tell.
Only time will tell, and yeah, Rogue going towards that natural, so I think he will be going for that hatch first. Maybe scouting for proxies first. Maybe it is just a drone scout. It is pretty late if it is just a drone scout.
Yeah, sending it out down there at 15. And he checks, goes over to that third base location. He's actually just going to fast expand to the third base, maybe expecting a cannon, which when you're up against Hush, someone you're probably expecting you're better than, that may be the plan here. Maybe he's thinking, oh, he's just going to cannon rush me. I'm just going to surprise him. I'm going to go to this third base. What are you thinking about this one, Moonglade?
Something I haven't seen before, Wolf. I'm not going to lie, man. It's just that we never see someone put a base down here. And I think it must be because he is trying to dodge any sort of cannon rush. But still, he's going to put down a second hatch rate. He's natural. And he's going to get that up. He should be fine, but very interesting sort of third hatchery positioning in the outside.
Certainly a unique approach.
I would dare say it's kind of vulnerable for any sort of cheese or rush. Like if we did see some sort of like maybe Immortal all-in or something, or Blank Stalkers. I guess it is a really open space around that hatchery, so it can be a little bit easy to deal with force fields, perhaps. Still, it's very curious. I hope we really get to see Kanata eventually interview him, and we find out why he chose to put the hatchery there.
Yeah, that would be, absolutely great to hear. Well, Hush incorrectly checks the third base location, as you guys can see in this first-person view, at the base to the left of the natural. He doesn't know where the third base is. He knows it's there because he saw the hatchery at the natural is late. He saw the pool is late, so he's absolutely certain there's a fast third hatch.
Yeah, I think he's looking for the goal base now. He's like, because that has been something we have seen in the past, especially from players like Lenok. Checking for that goal base now, doesn't see it. He must be thinking, what on earth is going on? And I think he might get the correct scout this time, or at least if he goes to the Zelnaga Tower, he will see the creep. Yeah, not just yet.
Looks like he's just going to take the longer route over there. Actually doesn't even check it.
Wow.
He's not even queuing for that, so that's...
This is just a big mind game at this point.
Yeah, I think he's getting a bit flustered by this, perhaps. Stargate will be placed here in the main base, meanwhile.
Correct choice, I'd have to say.
Yeah, I think it's a great choice. Checks the gas as well. Just looking at Hush's face, I think he's very uncomfortable right now with what he's seen, or I guess what he hasn't seen, you could argue.
Yeah, it really is the most unusual sort of hatchery placement, and he is going to go scout for one more time, but these Lings are going to chase down this probe in due time. And yeah, I think we are going to see that Oracle opening. Maybe look for some damage, maybe try and secure a third behind it, as we do see Protosses do a lot on this map. This is the most common sort of opening we do see from Protoss against Zerg. Pretty early Zergling speed though from Rogue, so he's going to be on the map pretty early on, and there's a definite potential threat to cancel the third base if he makes enough Zerglings.
Yeah. Just now sticking with that traditional 4, trying to kill that probe, eliminate him over there. And he says, it's got to be a 4-3. That sign there. Phoenix is actually coming out here for Hush.
Okay. Phoenix is not a horrible choice either. Something we see less of these days, but can still do a lot of damage. Obviously, the more they're alive, the more they can pick up and kill with their energy. And yeah, they could definitely the other way to go. Gives you a lot of scouting potential as well. Flying around with 4 Phoenixes, you're going to see what's going on exactly. Much better at dealing with roaches than obviously an Oracle is.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely going to be easily clean up those Overlords, which is a bit of an annoyance here to Rogue, who now wants to remake 3 extra ones to make sure he has enough supply to continue to produce units. Now 12 Zerglings on the map with speed. And this Overlord, of course, being cleared, is going to have to use those Zerglings if he wants to check and poke over there to deny a third Nexus. Going to poke the front first. Sees that tight wall, backs away. Another Overlord will fall here. Looks like one Phoenix will go and finally confirm that third base location. This is his first look.
Yeah, finally sees it. Knows exactly what's happened now. Sees all the droning. Every base essentially saturated at this point, but only 1 gas so far for Rogue. Got to be careful. We are seeing the Forge and Robo go down behind this, so I think it's going to be a bit of a delayed third base. We are going to see from Hush and kind of go into that mid-game. with the Colossus.
Yeah, very careful, slow approach towards that third. Good scout on the Roach Horn there, sees its exact timing. He's also able to identify the gas as being a little bit late, as you mentioned. Few drones picked off here. He's very conservative with his Phoenixes. He's not really trying to go for major damage, just trying to find openings.
Yeah, just picking what you can. Like the one power with Phoenixes, they do last forever. And one Spore is never going to kill a Phoenix so long as the micro is good. And he's building up that drone kill count. Like he's already got 4 so far, and it's going to get worse and worse over time. Any sort of stray units will get picked up and killed. You see these Zerglings kind of engage a superior army in the bottom side of the map towards that third base. So we know for sure the third base is going to be going up momentarily. Going to be trying for that probe.
Yeah, it's
he can
just
delay it.
Oh, you know what? I think he's going to get it. And he does. That's huge. That was a bit of a mistake there by Hush. He was busy microing his Phoenixes on the other side of the map, and losing that probe, a big blow here. In fact, he's going to lose the second one potentially here, and he does. And that is a huge delay on that third base.
It is such an annoyance. It's something that shouldn't happen. We didn't see any force fields go down to kind of protect it, which is a little bit of a mistake. Too busy, yeah, as you were saying, focusing on this Phoenix micro. It is doing a lot of work, though. A lot more drones are going down, 4 more.
Yeah, delaying some of that gas mining, especially over there at that third base. This Nexus is so late, and we do see Swarm Hosts on the menu here for Rogue. He's got the increased lifetime for the Locust queued up as well.
Not a bad choice. Not a bad choice at all. And this map is fantastic for Swarm Hosts because you can kind of seal it off, split the map in half, essentially. Though it's going to be interesting with this kind of awkward base we do see from Rogue out in the middle of the map already. I mean, he gets great creep spread from it, which means he can probably push the Locust a little bit extra forward than he normally would be able to if he took the base to the left of his natural.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how aggressive he's going to be with these Swarm Hosts and how passive he will be. And we already see Colossi on the way as well as Void Rays. And obviously we know once the Colossi count gets up high enough, he can start fighting and trading with these Locusts pretty efficiently.
Yeah, that's one thing that Hush definitely has going for him. Is just happen to pick the right tech for this situation. And Overseer Scout is going to come in and find this out. Is also going to be able to identify the Void Ray production.
Oh, he's got to be so careful with these Swarm Hosts too. Phoenix is going to be flying in. If he gets a couple of kills on Swarm Hosts, big mistake. We do see one lifted up already.
Yep, that's pretty nice here. Looks like he'll definitely pick that one off at least. Very big victory here to be able to pick something off like that. Really hurts that Swarm Host Locust production.
Well, I mean, at the same time, not only are you losing such an expensive unit, but it gives away the tech. It's like, oh, you're going Swarm Host this early, I just have to make Colossi.
Yeah.
And I have to get on the map, and I have to counterattack and make sure you're out of position with these Locust Swarm Hosts, and I can just kill your base, essentially. Because there's no static up. There's no ground army to help deflect this. The Swarm Hosts have to be there, or you're going to lose something.
He's very confident. Hush is with this small army he's produced here. Just always able to know where Rogue's units are with those Phoenix Scouts and try to outmaneuver them. With the Mothership core of this army, he has that extra mobility, that potential to recall. So he's not really scared moving across the map like this. And it looks like he might just go ahead and drop that recall down now. Nope.
No, I think it's probably better for him if he just stays on the map. He knows that the Swarm Hosts pretty much have to stay there, continually morph Locust towards there, and if they don't, then Hush can just come back in and start pressuring the natural again.
Well, as you guys can see here, these Locusts are now starting to work away on these gateways at the third base. Going to get this cannon as well, which will mean that future Zergling run-bys even can be a lot more effective.
Yeah, and you know what? There's not really enough units. There's 2 Colossi and only a few units to kind of buffer against anything coming their way. And we do see 3 Swarm Hosts still around the natural to kind of press against anything that's going to try and counterattack.
Yeah, and he's starting to focus this Nexus a little bit. He did it for just a second. It's pretty low. It's lost all of its shields. Meanwhile, this small army here, is it enough? There's plenty of Zerglings to help tank at the front for those Locusts to come out here. And a Nexus planted to the top left. Would have never expected to see that.
Well, he did lose that third down to the bottom, so I think he has to at this point. There's simply no way he's going to hold it. Simply just not enough Colossi on the map. Such an awkward position. I don't know if we're going to see Rogue scout this that early. And at the same time, with his War Prism going towards the main base, things can get really shooken up pretty badly for Rogue because he's got most of his army is simply Swarm Hosts at this point.
What do you think about the Spore Crawlers he's making right now? Is that against the Colossi, so he can't just start step forward on top of Swarm Hosts? He's making 6 spores right in front of his base.
That's essentially, to block out any sort of observers that try and go near them. It'll just simply get picked off. And obviously Void Rays is another big problem at this point because there's not much anti-air, if any. And we do see the Zealot warping in the main base. Oh, but instead we do actually see these Swarmos kind of get caught out, but they spawn just in time.
Yeah, he's got a few queens for transfuses as well. Those Locusts coming in the very last moment there, the last nick of time.
Yeah.
In this base, the top left remains unscouted for now, but he doesn't have any probes there. He's going to have to send those across the map, and that's not going to be an easy task right now with all this Zerg army, with this creep spread that we see here from Rogue. How is he ever going to get probes over there? I don't think he can.
I don't think he can. I mean, his Natural's already getting pushed at the same time this is all happening. Only 2 Colossi there to kind of deal with the Locusts. Not enough to efficiently kind of wipe them out before they start taking damage, doing damage, and trading efficiently.
Rogue is consistently microing his Locusts in moments like this, by the way. I'm loving his targeting that he's using to pick off some of these units, to pick off cannons, to make sure Locusts are getting their maximum efficiency when it counts. Ooh, this Colossus taking a lot of damage. Almost goes down. And just so much static D over here, and enough Locusts to kind of bully this army back. Now the Queens come from behind, forcing that recall to the natural. And Rogue has total control over this game just off of 3 bases alone. Look at his creep spread now going down towards the right side, towards that old third base location of Hush. He has total command over this game. He could probably take a 4th pretty soon.
He could definitely take a 4th. We do see the Roaches kind of clearing his 3rd base in preparation for maybe once a 4th hatchery there. And, I mean, there's so many Colossi now. That is 5 Colossi. So they can efficiently kind of start dealing with the Locusts and start clearing the creep back. But still, I mean, he doesn't really have much to buffer for them, which is the next problem. Usually you want at least a couple of Zealots, maybe some sentries?
Yeah, I mean, if you have sentries laying around, they could definitely drop the force fields down, but with nothing to buffer, Colossi are even having trouble against that large Locust count. Zealots over here targeting down this hatchery. Doesn't have too many queens nearby. It looks like he's going to get it. It's going to be close. One more transfuse goes down, but I think he will still get it. He does.
Just gets it. And that's a pretty big victory in itself. Same time, we do see Locust engaging in these 5 Colossus. This is a very risky sort of situation. I mean, those Phoenix are really helping out too, picking off what they can.
The Moonglade, the Mutalisk transition is underway now with all that gas make he has. He's starting Mutalisk production. And this is something that Hush is just not really prepared for. He does have Storm, but he doesn't have a mobile army. He doesn't have Stalkers. He only has a few of those. He's got 4 on the map, no Blink, no cannon set up.
I guess the one redeeming thing is he does have those 5 Phoenix, which are going to help out initially. But if we do see Corruptors kind of added into the mix as well, then there's really just nothing else he can do against it. And we do see like hardcore Mutalisk sort of counterattacks do a lot of damage.
I feel like Hush, or rather Rogue, doesn't realize that base at top left, so he feels like he doesn't really need to worry too much. He's like, wow, you're really starting to get mined out here. You don't have a 3rd base up yet. And if he just knew about that 3rd to the top left, he could just send some Zerglings over there. But just because he doesn't know, I feel like he's playing this a little bit differently.
It's so exposed, to be honest. Like, it is truly the most exposed base you could have. 2 Roaches could just shut it down. But yeah, he just simply doesn't know, and it could come back to bite him.
Finally targets these Locusts. Gets that Nexus, gets a Pylon. And now Rogue may be thinking, wow, you're on 1 Nexus in your main that's mined out. But this base of top left finally starts to realize, okay, this is a smart move out here. He's going to find that base. And now Hush, economy-wise, is in a big deal of trouble. He doesn't have any units over there to defend. He doesn't have any static D. Actually looks like the Roaches don't find it, though.
Yeah, you know why they moved out? Because those 4 Zealots came and canceled his 4th base.
Yeah.
So it could have been a massive mistake if these Roaches decided to check the top left. Because it all came down to the harassment from those Zealots.
If he only just knew, he could totally shut down Hush.
Oh, he doesn't know. He's sending the Roaches down to help out with these Swarm Hosts.
Oh, this really, really hurts. A few Swarm Hosts actually getting picked off here. He's got so many High Templar in this mix. 8 High Templar on the map.
Well, 8 High Templar, 23 Swarm Hosts, Wolf. That's a whole lot of, that's so many Locusts. I don't even know if 5 Colossus is good enough against that.
Well, he's even adding Infestors now into the mix.
Roaches are going to run by into the main base.
Yep, there's nothing stopping him. There's no units, period. I think he's even going to catch a Colossus there. Oh, that's a Void Ray on the main map, sorry.
That's a Void Ray. Yeah, a little bit harder to deal with the Roaches. And we are seeing Hush try and move out again. He's going to have to start burning all these storms, which is something he just does not want to do. And I think he lost the Colossus as well.
Yes. And another one is very, very low. That Robo that's being rebuilt right now is about to go down, it looks like, to those Roaches. Void Ray turns around to come help defend. I mean, this is a strong Protoss army with just comparatively 23 Swarmos. And look at this, Mutalisk have free reign. There's only 3 of them, but that's enough with no anti-air, with no units at home. He's either going to have to recall, which he doesn't want to do, or just face losing this base. More reinforcements coming down as well.
Even a lot of Infestors to deal with this. And even the Mothership Core gets He gets fungled, but gets away just.
He recalls to the top left, which isn't going to help him defend these bases. Locust and Mulus are finishing this off.
It gives it away as well, you know, like, because he's like in the main base already. He's got Mutas at the third base. Like, well, where's that other Nexus?
Yep. At this point, frankly, Moonlight, I don't think it will matter.
No.
This is the last stand army here for Hush. You know, the Swarmos are not in the right place to defend this base, but they can easily just move and relocate because the creep spread is so solid. You know, he's able to kill observers with those spores you were talking about earlier to help keep his creep alive as well. Few Swarmos do get picked off here, but when this Locust wave comes, Hush is going to have to hightail it out of here. That's so much DPS.
Yeah, well, he does have another recall, so he can get out of here once he's done the damage, but it's going to be hard to find the damage, losing another Colossus.
He just can't afford to lose these units right now. He has no infrastructure in his main base.
Oh,
His Colossi are so low.
There's really just nothing left. This is like his army he has to win the game with, or he loses the game, essentially.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's in a good spot. He's starting to kill these buildings, but...
Yeah. I mean, he's still down like 100 supply, and he's still got to deal with like infinity locusts.
He has to somehow march across the map, which seems not very feasible. These roaches have found this base now, so this probe count is starting to get eliminated. He only has 17 probes left on the map anyways, and I think this is just pretty much going to be the last stand here as more and more locusts now come into the main base. If he kills all the main base, he still has to somehow kill those spore crawlers in the middle of the map. It's not like he's going to win a base race right now. It's just not going to happen.
No, I mean, like the main base is mined out anyway, and we can see Rogue make 30 Mulus at any point in this time.
Whenever he wants to.
Whenever he wants to. He can just win the game with a air switch, but he's just biding his time. He knows he can just whittle down this Protoss army without committing to anything he doesn't have to. And GG.
Types it in Korean as well. Just something to keep in mind.
Oh no, it doesn't mean anything, does it, Wolf?
Well, you know, it does sometimes give you a warning, actually. It is illegal to type in other languages than English, GG. It's not going to cost them a point, but could cost them a warning.
Yeah, they don't need that right now.
Oh, they definitely do not.
Fantastic start for Jin Air, as expected. I mean, come on, it's Rogue against Hush.
I'm not sure what the Korean commentators were thinking with those predictions.
Well,
I mean, this was clearly a display of better mastery of the matchup. Hush not someone who's known for his PvZ, and I really think he was expecting the PvP versus SOS, which if Hush had faced SOS and eliminated him early, that would have been a great start for CJ. It just didn't happen that way. It was just not what CJ expected, not what I expected. I also expected that we'd see SOS on that first map on Overgrowth again.
Well, I figured like it was a different sort of team they're up against, and it really felt like SOS was going out there to deal with the Zergs of StarTale-yoe. And considering how weak this how small the Zerg lineup is from CJ, I mean, you've got one player that's playing in this league, and that's Bjol. I don't know if he really wants to go out against that and try his luck, so I think it's very smart for Jin Air to kind of pull him back and throw someone else out.
Yeah, very well said. Well, we're just taking a look here at the Jin Air players now. That momentum is in their favor now. And, you know, just looking at Rogue, he looks very confident. It was a pretty easy win for him. Never really had too many hardships in that game. Yeah, he definitely had some struggles hold on to his bases, but when you're going Swarmos like that, they're so cost efficient because they're doing damage for free with those Locusts. You're never really trading with them. So you can make that work on a low economy for a really long time.
Oh yeah, in that kind of situation, you're